Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Match B2B Insights. I'm Brenda, and as usual, I've got Benny Fluman here with me. Today, we want to unpack how the isolation facing Israeli companies is no longer just talk. It's becoming a lived reality in international business, law, and reputation. Benny, you and I have both seen this story changing, right?
Absolutely, Brenda. Look, it's not just bad press anymore. You've got diplomatic ties being downgraded, sanctions on the table, global boycotts that are no longer whispers but real decisions. The intensity, wow. Israeli firms, even those far from politics, now feel that any conversation abroad, be it with customers, partners, even academics, includes implicit questions about trust and risk. And you, coming from the US, you started hearing objections differently, yeah?
Yes, that shift is real. Clients who never used to raise these issues, their legal teams now bring up topics like potential export limitations, or they suddenly want to double-check compliance on every little thing. You see it play out mid-negotiation. A deal's moving forward, then someone brings up reputational risk, and suddenly everyone's pausing. It's not about the tech or the contract anymore. It's about this global narrative. There's just this new kind of hesitancy that's, honestly, hard to puncture. And the sources confirm. This isolation runs deeper than anything Israel experienced in previous conflicts.
Yeah, we're not dealing with a passing wave. Allies pull ambassadors, consumer boycotts grow, and big academic events just quietly leave Israel off the invitation list. The impact is everywhere, from the headlines to the boardroom. And that brings us to the legal front, which is especially tense right now. For example, there are these campaigns, like the one led by ECCHR, where, together with Palestinian partners, they're actively filing lawsuits to halt arms exports from Germany to Israel. This isn't just symbolic, these are real proceedings, with claimants in Gaza saying German weapons are used in violations of international law. We're talking about court cases, injunction requests, and even references to the ICC's move for arrest warrants for Israeli leaders. The whole landscape is hotter and more complex.
Absolutely. And the German system makes things even more complicated. They have this dual-track framework. War weapons, like anti-tank missiles or bombs, have to go through the War Weapons Control Act, and the decisions get reviewed at Berlin's administrative court. Other military equipment, think tank engines, subsystems, or technology licenses, are managed as regular trade, but go to Frankfurt's administrative court for challenges. So you end up with two separate pipelines for legal action.
Which, just from a business point of view, can cause a lot of anxiety. I had a client, he's in defense tech, really sharp guy, who caught wind of the whole issue about Germany stopping some export licenses. He starts asking if his company's next shipment will be flagged, or if the bank's going to freeze the payment. The rumor mill in the European business circles goes nuts. And let's be honest, half the time it's the perception itself that does the damage.
And the cases themselves show just how tricky and fast-moving all this is. Some requests were rejected in court because shipments happened before the claimants could even act. Others were thrown out because the claimants lacked legal standing. The only constant is uncertainty. Let's talk about what this means for company operations. Continuity has become a survival skill, especially when global buyers might see Israeli companies as high-risk vendors. It's not just about having a backup plan. It's about having really clear, documented processes, mirrored teams, regulatory checklists, auditable records. And having proof points, rather than just promises, is what matters. Remember the Toyota story, Benny?
Toyota, yeah? After the 2011 earthquake. Classic case. They mapped their entire supply chain, put in redundant triggers, and after that, even when the Thai floods hit, they got back on their feet faster than the competition because they made continuity visible. And it's not just them. You look at local heroes too, Wix, Fiverr. In their own way, they kept recruitment open and kept communicating outward, even when everything was chaos. That's discipline. That's what global buyers need to see now. Not slogans, but proof the machine keeps running.
And clients notice those signals. If you can show you're hiring, shipping, updating regularly, or running cross-border webinars, it's practical reassurance at a time when the risk label can stick so fast. In these conditions, resilience is very much an earned thing. No shortcuts.
So, how do contracts help keep those relationships alive under scrutiny? There's a big push now to strengthen force majeure and hardship clauses, not just the legalese, but making them actually useful. Like, do you define what events truly disrupt operations? Do you require both sides to prove real objective harm before suspending work? And do you bake in a cooling off period so no one hits the panic button on day one?
Exactly. Another powerful tactic? Multi-jurisdictional contracting. If you've got an EU or US entity, you can route contracts and billing through there, while still keeping your core team in Israel. And compliance certifications, ISO, SOC 2, whatever your space demands, they can tip the risk conversation back in your favor, because procurement teams rely on those international standards. Ukrainian dev shops did this well after 2022. They set up EU-facing companies to meet procurement rules, not for PR, but so they could keep delivering.
It's not rocket science, but it's so often missed. You contract in ways that create evidence, not just intent. That's what gets you through tough reviews or skeptical clients.
Let's go a level deeper on trust, and really, perception. Weekly customer updates, dashboards, radical transparency. These aren't just checkboxes. They address practical fears. I had a US client who almost pulled out until we gave them a steady feed of measurable KPIs and shipping milestones. What you say externally matters a ton, but how you act and what you deliver matters even more. Benny, you've got an example, right?
Yeah, I had this European distributor. Super stressed by the news, team was grouchy, email noise nonstop. Instead of trying to wave the Israeli flag or argue, we got real. Honest updates, admitted what was delayed, made a couple of jokes about Murphy's Law in logistics, which, helps break the ice. After 2 or 3 weeks of this kind of no slogan zone communication, not only did the distributor stick with us, they started sending the updates up the chain as proof to their board. Sincerity plus a little humor goes a long way.
And that's the difference. Stability shows through in visible milestones and real teams, not just big promises or slogans. It's the only antidote to the gloom in the headlines. But none of this holds if you can't keep your own team running. Under these conditions, Israeli SMBs are constantly on the edge with reserve duties, staff burnout, or even just morale collapsing after another tough news cycle. That's where things like mental health support, hybrid work policies, and very open internal messaging play a real role. Not just soft stuff. Retention rates prove it.
Buddy systems show up too. I keep hearing from my network. Reservists helping each other's families. Businesses covering shifts for each other. They become informal safety nets. Remember what happened in the Philippines after typhoons? Or Ukraine with the war? Companies forced to adapt HR policies overnight. Same playbook for Israeli SMBs now. Stay flexible, care about your people, and put it all out in the open. People can sense insecurity a mile away. When you show them you're holding the line together, loyalty goes way up.
And then, of course, there's outside support. Let's not forget Israeli and international programs, the Smart Money Fund, binational R&D programs like BIRD or SEERD, even crisis-specific grants. These don't replace great management, but they do de-risk expansion, especially for exporting tech or growing R&D abroad. The data is, well, mixed. While some EU and US contracts are canceled, other big deals go ahead. Google's $32 billion deal for Wiz, NVIDIA's campus, continued high defense and high-tech exports.
Brenda, I love quick wins. For any Israeli SMB, right now, review your contract clauses for stress points. Publish a 2-page business continuity brief. Diversify where revenue and support comes from. And make sure you've got ongoing customer touchpoints, even if it's just a short milestone update or a Q&A webinar. These aren't magic bullets, but they buy you time and trust. One area I think gets missed a lot: building unconventional partnerships. Don't just go to old allies. Look to regional players, cross-sector consortia, or global civil organizations for new markets and networks. Digital platforms, virtual trade shows, co-branded pilots, they bypass a lot of the diplomatic gridlock. The key is, the more you spread connections, the harder it is for any single hit to take you down.
Absolutely. And those joint initiatives, partnerships, or even temporary consortia do more than add sales. They become reputation lifelines. When you tie your brand to innovation and reliability through real collaboration, people remember. It's not just about who you know. It's about who's willing to go public with you when things get tricky. So what's next, when the pressure never really goes away? Innovation isn't just a buzzword. It's how companies in crisis move forward. Digital transformation can make remote work, sales, and supply resilience stronger than ever. Crisis marketing means you highlight real actions, real flexibility, and actual community support, not wishful thinking. And strategic diversification? That's a must. If one region goes cold, you've got to have others warming up.
Think of it like a chess game, not a sprint. Build out new revenue streams. Invest in tools that make remote collaboration seamless. And always, always be upfront about what's working and what's not. You can't control the global headlines, but you can control your own discipline, your own innovation, and your company's track record. Resilience is really the sum of those boring, daily things you keep doing, even when everything feels like it's on fire.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, we'll wrap for today. This landscape is changing all the time, and so will our playbook. Thanks as always, Benny. This was a big one.
Thank you, Brenda. Always a good fight. And thanks to our listeners for sticking with us. Same time next episode?
You bet, Benny. Until next time, everyone, stay global, stay resilient, and take care.